There we go. There we go. No more mute. Hello and happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Vihil Vigil. I am a women's empowerment business coach, and I am founder and creator of the Empowerment Empire. I am CEO of the Magistra magazine, our quarterly women's empowerment business publication, and I am an avid reader. So I like my paper books. I've never been able to get really into the Kindle. I think it's the feeling of the pages in my hands. Um, it's just something I have always loved to do. Maybe it's the only child in me that, when I was growing up, I found all of these amazing, phenomenal worlds available to me in books. So I have oftentimes joked that I could certainly be a librarian and I would love it. And who knows? One day I might find myself in a library or in an antiquities department or in a historical society, because I love storytelling through the book format. Hence, of course, for those of you who have been watching me on social media, we have launched the Boss Latinas Anthology, which is 31 women telling their amazing stories, trials and tribulations of life to where they are now, such as women, business professionals and business owners. And so there's just something that I really like about reading. It fuels my soul. It fuels, who I am as a person. It broadens my own horizons. And, much like how I like to attend various, networking events, be it like online or be it, in person. I love this opportunity to really connect with people. And so today was fantastic. We connected earlier in the IWB, or International Women in Business Mastermind, which is held once to twice a month. So I'm, continuing the day. It's been a really phenomenal day. And we're closing it out here with our book club. So every Wednesday, we are convening in our book club live on Zoom if you would like to join live on Zoom. Also live streaming into our Magistra Book Club. And this month, we are looking at Rachel Hollis's book, Girl, Wash Your Face. And I hadn't really had an intention of reading the book initially. I've heard all about it. I know who Rachel Hollis is. In the world of us motivational speakers, we certainly like to make sure that we are aware of all of the amazing motivational speakers out there. But I hadn't really had an interest. My focus oftentimes is books by women of diversity, women of color, across the gamut. So I wasn't really that interested in reading her book until I started to hear about all of the flack that was going on out in the women of color world about her book, even the non-women of color world about her book. And so it intrigued me, and I thought, what is so wrong with her book? Like, what is it that people are finding so dissatisfying? And why are we being so critical of this woman who is telling her story? And that's, we learn from each other. We learn from each other by sharing our experiences, by sharing, the things that we have gone through who make us the people that we are today. So I picked up her book and I started reading. And honestly, I have committed to reading the book cover to cover, and I didn't have a problem doing so. Every time I picked up her book, I would just, cruise through the chapters, just read, page, page, page. And I loved it. There's a lot of things that I could tell you about her book. I love her humor. I love her descriptions. I love, like, when you are reading her chapters, you just fall right into her story with her. So shout out to Rachel Hollis. I think your book is awesome, and we're going to continue reading. So last week, we went through the first 4 chapters of the book. So today we'll go through chapter 5, 6, 7, and 8. The 5th chapter is Loving Him is Enough for Me. And this chapter was all about when, her relationship with her husband and how she first fell in love with him and how their relationship was not so great in the beginning, and then how it changed. And so the way that I have been operating the book club conversation is we go live on Zoom and we live stream into our book club Facebook group. And I share with you the highlighted portions that really stood out for me. So one of the things about her book is that she starts each chapter with a lie, something that in her world she was believing, whether it was a belief that she adopted herself or whether it was a belief that someone else shared that she adopted. So I like that she calls out attention to that, how we fall victim to perception, or we fall victim to who we're supposed to be. And it sidetracks us. And by not allowing who we truly are to come through, I think based on fear of rejection, based on fear of being seen not as who we would like to be seen as. And so the realness and the rawness in her book, the humor when she's cracking me up, it resonates on lots of different levels, even though, physically speaking, we don't have a lot of, heritage in common. I think we have a lot in common as moms, as entrepreneurs, as businesswomen, striving to create this great opportunity, for our peers. So let's get right into it. So chapter 5, the lie is loving him is enough for me. And I actually reread the chapter the other day because I wanted to really call attention to the highlighted areas. And the first one that I would like to share with you is on page 51. For a year, I'd only looked at the pretty parts of our relationship. And for the first time, I made myself see what was really there. Who are you? I asked my empty bedroom, but that was the wrong question to ask. The issue wasn't that I didn't know who I was. The problem was that I didn't know who I had allowed myself to become. This really resonated with me because when we enter into relationships, sometimes we really lose sense of who we are as individuals. We become a pair, we become coupled, and we oftentimes lose our own sense of personal identity when we do that. And I have experienced that myself. And to be able to find my own identity again, I had to remove myself from that relationship. Next, calmly and without dramatics, I told him, I am done with this. I am done with you. Don't ever call me again. It wasn't a bid for attention or an attempt at playing hard to get. I meant every single word. This is when she was leaving her relationship because it had gotten very toxic. And it took her a really while, a bit of a time to come to that conclusion for herself, which is very relatable, which is something that I can certainly relate to. My last relationship was, close to 4 years, and albeit it ended up being very abusive towards me. It was really hard to draw the line in the sand and say, I need to leave. So let me continue. So why? He choked. Because I don't deserve to be treated like this. Because I can't go back and forth. Because I don't like what I've become. But mostly because you said we were friends. This whole time, whatever else has happened, you told me I was your friend. I don't want to be friends if this is how you treat someone that you care about. I meant those words with every fiber of my being. And then she continues to go on through her evening. And final, I highlight, I remember that night as the first time I really felt like a grown woman. Oftentimes, we almost take on the role of a child in a relationship that is not equal. I think it's a very common behavior when you are being talked down to, when you are being abused in a relationship, you become subservient, almost childlike, where you don't see yourself as a grown, responsible person because you are catering to someone else's needs, or you're constantly in survival mode. You're no longer a healthy, well-being grown woman. You are a product of your environment. And if that environment is bad, it's not a good product. page 53, I hope you'll get out of the trees long enough to see the forest for what it is. I hope that those of you who've lived through something similar and carry guilt about it long after it's over will learn that you are not the only one. So many women have made mistakes or done things they regret or become versions of themselves they aren't happy with. So many other women have survived and come out the other side stronger because of it. Every day you're choosing who you are and what you believe about yourself. And you're setting the standards for the relationships in your life. Every day is a chance to start over. I also really appreciate how in the end of each of Rachel Hollis's chapters, she writes things that helped me or things that would have helped me. Number one, a sounding board. When I walked through this season, I didn't really have any close friends or mentors who could advise me. I think if I'd have been able to speak with someone wiser, I might have become aware sooner of how unhealthy my relationship was. But be careful, anytime the voice of advisement is your own, your judgment is easily clouded when you are in love. Number two, be prepared. When my children are old enough, I will tell them this story. I know it doesn't paint either of their parents in the best light, but I want them to learn from it. If I had been less naive and known more about self-respect, I think I would have seen our relationship for what it was at that time. And number three, someone else's shoes. If you told the story of your relationship, both the good and the bad, would there be more good or more bad? If a friend or a stranger heard about my relationship, and if I walked them through all of the stuff that was hurting me, I can't imagine them not wanting to shake me until my teeth rattled. Imagine someone else describing your relationship to you. Imagine someone else describing your relationship to you. What would they say your relationship is healthy? If the answer is no, or if you even have to question it, I beg you to take a deeper look at the relationship in your life. I had a conversation with a colleague that if you are not able to have the discussion with your partner of, if this were to ever end, how would we behave? And one of the women in the discussion was like, oh, I could never have that discussion with my partner. They would immediately go off the rails and get super offensive and be, very angry about the conversation. Another woman in the discussion noted her partner would absolutely respect that conversation. I think it's something that is responsible to have with your partner. It's something that I will certainly employ when I am in my next relationship, is that to bring up the question, if this relationship were to end, can we behave like respectful adults to say, we need to, untangle our lives, and how can we best do that and save the most face and do it in such a way that is most respectful to ourselves and to the friend that we first started with when we got into that relationship. Because hopefully the person you're in a relationship with, you do consider them a friend, oftentimes your best friend. So would you want your best friend to treat you with respect and be open and honest? Yes, feelings will be hurt, but in the end, would you want to be treated like that by a friend? So just something to kind of throw out there that sparked conversation for me when I read that chapter. And then when I had that discussion with some colleagues in my circle, I thought it was very interesting. So we'll move on to chapter 6, page 55. And it starts with the lie. No is the final answer. I am an expert in rejection, or more specifically, I am an expert in bouncing back from rejection and fighting my way toward my goal. I think so many of us women can resonate with that and can relate absolutely. I suppose if I can gift you anything in the reading of this book, is that no is only an answer if you accept it. So allow me to use one chapter of this book to, I hope, light a fire under your butt. I want you to be so pumped up that you can hardly stand it. I want you to have one of those nights when you stay up until 1 a.m. writing long lists of big dreams and plans. I really love that introduction to this particular chapter. And as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as business professionals, we oftentimes get told no. I have been told no so many times that I couldn't even count, because I thrive on innovation. I thrive through change, and not everyone thrives through innovation or through change or by accepting something new than what they see and do every single day. So just know that. Let me forward along. All joking aside, my success has a lot to do with waking up early, being the hardest working person in the room, asking for help, being able to fail over and over again, and working constantly to improve myself and my brand. I am successful because I refuse to take no for an answer. I am successful because I have never once believed my dreams were someone else's to manage. That's the incredible part about your dreams. Nobody gets to tell you how big they can be. When it comes to your dreams, no is not an answer. The word no is not a reason to stop. Instead, think of it as a detour or a yield sign. No means merge with caution. No reminds you to slow down, to reevaluate where you are, and to judge how the new position you're in can better prepare you for your destination. This is overcoming roadblocks time and time again. When I said that I wanted to start the Empowerment Empire and I wanted to provide one-to-one and group coaching, I wanted to continue with Magistra Magazine, our women's empowerment business publication. I wanted to continue with the monthly mastermind conversations and the quarterly business brunches and power luncheons. Now that we have also partnered with prepaid legal services, now we also provide business protection services for families and for business owners. When I first started, it was like, no, Vihil, you have to focus on one thing. And that's just not me. That just wouldn't have felt right to me. That would have driven me into the boring ground. Because I thrive on complexity. I thrive on multifaceted things. Now, don't get me wrong. I do have to focus on one of those things at a time. Multitasking is not the greatest thing to do in the world in most situations. The best results are achieved when you are hyper focused on accomplishing this one task, doing it very well to completion, and then you can move on. You can set yourself up with all of your goals and all of your lists and all the things that you want to do, and you can slowly work on many of them, consecutively. However, when it comes down to really polishing and finishing this one particular goal or task, you focus on it and you would give it its due, because you deserve that. You deserve to have the best possible product for all of your hard work and effort. So page 59, no doesn't mean that you stop. It simply means that you change course in order to make it to your destination. What if life isn't happening to you? What if none of this is happening to you? I appreciate the quick shift there, because she's on 58. She's talking about how, she's not taking no for an answer. She's pushing forward. And then instantly on 59, she's saying, okay, well, what if this isn't even relevant? What if none of this is even happening to you? What if all of it is happening for you? Perception means we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. I have heard this from my coaches time and time again. And I also now share this with a lot of my clients, is that if something isn't happening for you the way you anticipate it to be happening at a particular time in your life, maybe it's not the right time for you. Maybe there's a lesson that you need to be learning in this experience so that you can be better for it. so that you can add that to your toolbox. You can add that to your list of accomplishments, that I overcame this and this and this and this, and I overcame that. So try to continue forth with an open mind. That, damn it may suck in the moment, and you may feel that, I really wanted this to happen right now, and it didn't. So do the thing, woman. Be frustrated, get upset, and then get clarity. Think about the entire situation. Think about, are you really ready for this now? If you were really ready for this now, it will happen. Figure out what you need to learn in the instant, or in the instance, so that you can then add that to your background, add that to your perspective, add it to your toolbox, so you're better equipped to continue moving forward. You don't see things as they are. You see things through the lens of what you think and feel and believe. Perception is reality, and I'm here to tell you that your reality is colored much more by your past experiences than by what is actually happening to you. If your past tells you that nothing ever works out, that life is against you, and that you'll never succeed, then how likely are you to keep fighting for something that you want? Every single part of your life, your gratitude, the way you manage stress, how kind you are to others, how happy you are, how you can be changed by a shift in your perception. Let's talk about the goals you have for life and how you can help yourself to achieve them. And in order to do that, you have to name your goals. Another quick shift. I appreciate that. We don't need to dwell on something, as long as we, get the message. I feel like when Rachel Hollis is writing these reflections, it's like, here's the message, grab it, because we're moving on. And I appreciate about her comment, naming your goals. It's something very, very prominent in all of the work that I do with my clients. Is first and foremost, we're going to figure out, what do you want? One of my favorite TV shows is Scandal. I love watching Scandal. I have seen the series over and over and over again. And one thing Olivia Pope always asks her clients is, what do you want? Because if you don't know what you want, then how can I help you to really get there? So really meditate on that. Make sure that you know exactly what you want, and you write it down. And remember, there is no limit. If you want to create this amazing, phenomenal life for yourself, name those goals, girlfriend, and don't be afraid to make them as big as you want, because this is your life. You don't have to live it defined by other people's perceptions of what is possible. Because look at some of the most amazing women in the world. They have accomplished quite a lot, and so can you. When things are allowed to sit in the darkness, when we're afraid to speak them aloud, we give them power. The darkness lets those fears fester and grow until they become stronger over time. If you never allow your fears out, then how in the world can you disseminate them? Some people quit because a voice of authority tells them to. Voice of authority can mean all sorts of things, including your own voice. I really appreciated that paragraph because it really speaks to how within the empowerment empire, we really encourage you to let the skeletons out of the closet, let the darkness out of the bag, because when you can face it, then you can see it for what it is, and you can get rid of it, and you can move on. You can free yourselves of the chains of fear by facing it. And you don't have to do it alone. There are coaches out there, there are therapists out there, counselors, people who have experiences with helping others get through trauma, relinquish the darkness, let it go, so you can become the person you are truly meant to be and that you want to be. Not who you're supposed to be based on everyone else's perceptions, but based on your own. You can tell I rather enjoyed that chapter. So then I tried to not continue to highlight the whole chapter. So let's jump to, we're almost done, a few more pages. Let's jump to page 66. Nobody, not a voice of authority, not your mama, not the foremost expert in your arena gets to tell you how big your dreams can be. They can talk all they want, but you get to decide if you're willing to listen. Another reason people give up on their dreams, it's difficult and or it takes too long. Goals and dreams are hard. I get it. Actually accomplishing them is so much harder than you think it will be. Maybe you're making progress, but it's only an inch at a time. Meanwhile, your friends have been promoted twice, your sister is married, has 2 kids, and you feel as though you're still way back there at the start when everyone is passing you by. Some days you feel so discouraged that you want to cry. Well, girlfriend, go ahead and cry. Cry and get it out. Because when you cry and you're all done, and you get to wipe off the ugly cry face and clean yourself back up and lift yourself back up, you have released all of those demons. You have released that darkness and you've gotten rid of it and you are able to move on. You are able to move forward. The only thing worse than giving up is wishing that you hadn't. Have you ever really wanted to accomplish something and it just got so stressful and so crazy and so ridiculous that you're like, you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm not going to continue. Now, I have to break with this for a moment and say that there are some occasions that the best decision is for you to stop and walk away. When it comes to your goals and when it comes to your dreams, when you have decided this is what you want, this is what your life will consist of, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. Don't you get it? Nothing that lasts is accomplished quickly. Nobody's entire legacy is based on a single moment, but rather the collection of one's experiences. If you're lucky, your legacy will be a lifetime in the making. Yes, we all hear about some entrepreneurs who have reached 50,000 months in less than 6 months. I don't believe that that is the norm. Clearly, it's not. Yes, you can absolutely achieve $60,000 per month. Can you do it in 6 months? Maybe. Can you do it over 6 years? More likely, because you're building your legacy. When you enter into your world of profession, when you enter into your world of being an entrepreneur or a business owner, you have to give yourself that time to build on your knowledge, to build on your experiences, to get yourself out there. It's not going to happen overnight, and that's okay. Because if it did happen overnight, would you really be as grateful, as successful as you would be if you learned and you worked and you learned and you grew as a person along this journey to this level of success that you have determined for yourself? This is what makes you feel like you have made it. This is where you want to be. Bottom of page 69. Look again at those dreams you wrote down on your paper at the start of this chapter. Now listen to me. You do not have permission to quit. I revoke that permission. I take away the power those people or circumstances put over your life, and I give it back to you. You think it's not that easy, and of course it is. It is not. I will jump in there and say it is not that easy. This is all about perception, right? Your perception of what's holding you back is currently big and bad and terrifying, but those obstacles are only real if you believe in them. Now, I will have to disagree with that paragraph. Some of our obstacles are very real, very terrifying, and very much so a physical, mental, emotional block. So I do appreciate the encouragement. I do. But I also want to preface that with some obstacles are much more difficult to get through. Definitely seek out a counselor, a therapist, an expert in the field of removing these particular blocks if you are experiencing them. And remember, I do like this. Nobody will ever care about your dream as much as you do. Maybe your mama, but even still, no one will care about your dreams as much as you do. Your own special wish that your heart made long ago, you were even conscious of it. Were you even conscious of it? You want to see it come to fruition? Well then, you have to understand that nobody can take it away from you. And ultimately, nobody is going to help you achieve it. Not really. We will have our coaches, we will have our therapists, we will have our guides, but you have to do the work. You have to decide to pursue your wildest dreams, no matter what they are, no matter how simple or extravagant that they may be, no matter if they seem ridiculous to others or maybe even too easy. It doesn't matter. They're your dreams, and you are allowed to chase them, not because you are more special or talented or well-connected, but because you are worthy of wanting something more. I think that is a great conclusion to this chapter. You pursue your wildest dreams. They are yours. You pursue them. And then page 71, the things that helped me. Number one, audacity. It's pretty audacious to ignore what other people, even experts, are telling you is right. I think we could all use a little more audacity around these parts. I don't mean that you need to become militant or disrespectful. I just mean that you should keep your eyes on your goal, regardless of what gets in your way. Number two, alternate paths. I worry when I give this advice that some random person who listens to the idea of not giving up on her dreams will hear, go harass people until they give you what you want. That's not going to get anybody anywhere, and we all know it. Use the no you hear as an indication that you should try an alternative route. Number three, keeping my goals in plain sight. It's easy to focus on your goals when you're fired up or you're excited about a new project, but focusing becomes harder and harder when life interferes with your direct access to keep working on it. So pin up those dreams someplace where you can find it. I'm a big fan of displaying visuals inside my closet door to remind me every single day of what my aim is. I am a huge advocate personally, as well as vision boards. I have held a number of vision board parties where we do them in person with markers, tons of magazines everywhere. Not only is it fun, but it really gives you a way to be playful with yourself and to let yourself dream. Chapter 7, I'm bad at sex, the lie. I'm going to let you cover that chapter for yourself, but I will read the things that helped me. Number one, I defined sex in my own mind. For the longest time, sex symbolized a lot of things, and not all of them were positive. I decided to change what I thought sex was. This might not be what sex is for you, your friends, or the Holy Ghost and all the saints. But going forward, I decided that sex was supposed to be a fun experience that would always be more compelling than whatever else I could be doing. But if I reminded myself that sex was always an awesome opportunity, then I would presumably want to choose it. Number two, I figured out how sex could be an earth-shattering experience. How can I enjoy this more? What's holding me back? The answer is me. There are some phenomenal coaches that I have met who deal specifically with your own personal sexual health and being willing to allow yourself to achieve that level of personal and coupled pleasure. I like how she notes, I read Hebrews 13.4. How she said parts of her hangups were related to her being a good Christian girl who couldn't reconcile being freaky in the sheets. Thank you, Rachel Hollis, for saying that. There are so many of my colleagues who are very, very religious and who are also very, very intimate with their partners. And I think that is a very personal conversation to have with yourself, with your higher power, with your partner. And I appreciate a lot of the things that she says in this chapter, and I will let you read them and form your own opinions on it. Number 4, I embraced my body. I practiced positive self-talk about how great my butt looked or how sexy I was. I did it so much that at some point I started to believe it. Number 5, I committed to my orgasm, girl. Back in the day when we first started having sex, an orgasm for me was like icing on the cake. But here's the thing, ladies, orgasms are not icing on the cake. Orgasms are the cake. A second one is icing on the cake. Number 6, I had to figure out what turns me on. I had to figure out who I was in an intimate situation. What was good for me might not be good for you, or, you know, be open to exploration is what I say. Be open to embracing your sexual self. That is not bad. Embrace all of you, all of your beautiful flaws, all of your beautiful elements to that which makes you, you. Number 7, she notes, we committed to having sex every day for a month. Years ago, at the onset of changing up our sex lives, Dave and I initiated something we called Sexy September. We vowed to have sex every day during the month of September, no excuses. It was pretty daunting in the beginning, especially with full-time jobs and 2 kids. But the end was fantastic. It gave me the opportunity to experiment and try things out without any pressure. Also, shockingly, having more sex made us want to have more sex. I highly encourage you to pick your own sexy month and go for it. I appreciate chapter 7. It's not a very long chapter. It definitely shares some of her personal experiences, nothing raunchy at all, but definitely something that is very encouraging to you. Go for your dreams, go for these things that are going to remind you of the beautiful beast that you are, because you are. All right, last chapter for the night. The lie. I don't know how to be a mom. This chapter really resonated with me. At 35, I became a mom for the very first time. And in my true to fashion form, my mother asked me, are you ready for this? And I said, yes, I've read like 10 books. Here's my stack. I went to parenting classes. I went to all of these things. I read books. I watched things online. I went to parenting classes because I was used to taking care of myself. I have spent most of my life not in a relationship, working on my career, working on my education, being that, type A personality businesswoman, wanting to accomplish goals and do great things that I wanted to do. I wanted to explore the world. I joined the military. I was in the Navy. I traveled to different countries on multiple occasions. And I never thought that I would be a mom until I turned 34. And I realized I wanted to be a mom. So this chapter has a little closer place in my heart. She goes over and she talks about her pregnancy and how that experience was, how holding the baby, how she had difficulties with it. I love how and it's also not a very long chapter. I like how she notes on page 86, a new mother's daily list of goals should boil down to number 1, take care of the baby. Number 2, take care of yourself. Boom, the end. Darn it, you didn't get to do that laundry today? Well, look at your list. Did you take care of the baby? Yes. Did you take care of yourself? Also, yes. Okay, you are crushing this new mom business. I guess the laundry can wait. And I appreciate things that helped me. Starting on the bottom of page 87, finding a tribe. Girlfriend, finding a tribe is what has helped me elevate in my business. This is why we started the Boss Latinas Anthology, to gather these women. It's why I started the 2 Facebook groups that I host, which are the Empowered Woman by Therapeutic Empowerment and Jefas Unidas Latina Entrepreneurs, because I wanted a sisterhood, and I wanted to be able to feel like I could define what that is for me. And I wanted to bring sisters who also resonated with my vibe and with my message and with the idea that we can all empower one another. Through collective collaboration, we all rise is the mantra of the Empowerment Empire. And so it absolutely helps me. And I encourage you to do the same. So Rachel Hollis says, finding a tribe, join a church group, go to Mommy in Me Yoga, and look for online clubs to join. Look for a group of women who understands what it means to be a new mom too. There is so much power in solidarity, sister. I 100% agree with you. There's so much grace when you're talking with someone who also has baby puke on her shirt. I agree. Number 2, staying away from Pinterest. For the love of all that is holy, nobody should be allowed on Pinterest after a big life event. Why? Because you feel like you're missing out, or that your life or your nursery or your post-baby body should look like what you're finding on the internet. Pay attention to what is giving you anxiety or making you question yourself. If it's social media, then do your heart a favor and take a break from it. I promise it will still be there when you're getting more sleep and feeling less emotional. Number 3, getting out of the house. This was another one of my saving graces, and it still is to this very day. When I am out of my head and I am stressed out about something, or I've just got so much on my plate that I'm feeling overwhelmed, the first thing I think to myself is, I need some fresh air. And I will step outside. I might not go for a mile jog. I might not go for a walk around the block, but I will step outside and focus on my breathing. I will appreciate the beautiful sky, whether it's storming or shining bright. I will appreciate for the beauty that it is, and it will get me out of my head. Every single day. The best you can do for yourself, your sanity, your child, is to leave the scene of the crime. Leave the place with the dishes in the sink and the overflowing diaper genie. Put your baby in a carrier or a stroller and go on a walk around the neighborhood. Put on some headphones and listen to some Beyonce or some Adele or a podcast on business ethics. Do whatever you have to do to remind yourself there is a life beyond your nest and that you are still a part of it. And final, number 4, talking to someone about my feelings. An effective way for us to overcome lies is to speak them out loud to a partner. Whether you choose your spouse, your friend, or a trusted family member, I will also add your coach, your therapist, your counselor. Whether you choose this person, share with them that you're struggling. Sharing with them that you're struggling can give you the support you need to see all of the falsities that are popping up in your life. With that, we close this review of the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th chapters of Rachel Hollis's book, Girl, Wash Your Face. And I still appreciate this book. I paused on reading to not get too far ahead so that it's still fresh in my mind when I'm having these conversations with our book club and talking about my experiences and how I can relate and maybe some things that I want to add. So if you are interested in participating in a live conversation, if you would like to join us on the Zoom, you're more than welcome to. If you are enjoying watching the live videos in the Magistra Book Club, please post a comment and let me know your thoughts. I really would love to hear them. We also have a new YouTube channel by the Empowerment Empire. I will post that link as well here. And the video will be downloaded and added to our book club conversations on the Empowerment Empire, which you can find on YouTube. By myself, Miss Vihil H. Vigil. I am your International Women's Empowerment Business Coach, founder and creator of the Empowerment Empire, your gracious host for the monthly book club, the Magistra Book Club. And I just want to thank you for enjoying this opportunity to listen to my thoughts on a book that I was never going to pick up. And I'm really glad that I did. So we'll see you next Wednesday as we talk through chapters 9, 10, 11, and 12. Get caught up in the book. Reach out if you have any questions. I would love to have you join me if you would like to join us live or continue to comment in the Facebook group. Have a wonderful evening.